The enemy doesn't always come as a roaring lion. Sometimes he comes as a romantic interest, a close friend, even someone you once called your spiritual mentor. And if you're not spiritually discerning, you'll miss the trap that was custom designed to pull you off course, away from your calling, and into quiet destruction cloaked as companionship. The devil isn't just attacking your mind or your finances. He's targeting your relationships because he knows if he can connect you with the wrong person, he can disconnect you from your destiny. Think about Samson, not because he was weak, but because he got involved with someone who was secretly sent to study his strength, not support it. Delilah wasn't just a lover, she was an assignment. And the truth is, some of the people you're calling a blessing were actually a setup the enemy planted to seduce your purpose. And if you're honest, the emotional entanglements you thought were harmless have become spiritual snares that drain your energy, cloud your judgment, and silence your prayer life. The most dangerous relationships aren't always the obviously toxic ones. Sometimes it's the one that feels comfortable, familiar, even godly on the surface. But deep down, it's pulling you out of alignment with God's plan. This is why Proverbs 4:23 says to guard your heart above all else, because your heart is the enemy's favorite battlefield. And once he gets access through the wrong relationship, he doesn't need to tempt you with sin. He just needs to distract you from purpose. You were making progress until they came along. You were hearing God clearly until their voice got louder than his. You used to be spiritually sharp. Now you're emotionally confused, double-minded, and calling it God's will just because it feels good. Don't forget, Eve didn't eat the fruit alone. She was in a conversation that shifted her focus from what God said to what she felt in the moment. And that's how the enemy still works. He gets you into connections that feel right, but pull you just 1 degree off course, because he knows even a small deviation can shipwreck a divine calling over time. Relationships are powerful, so powerful that God uses them to build kingdoms, but the enemy mimics God's patterns, twisting divine principles to serve demonic agendas. And if you're not careful, you'll marry a Delilah, align with a Judas, or trust a Saul who looks like a king but has a heart full of jealousy, insecurity, and hidden sabotage. Some of the battles you're fighting aren't spiritual warfare from the outside. They're backlash from the soul ties you formed without spiritual permission. 1 Corinthians 15 verse 33 warns that bad company corrupts good character, and yet many people ignore that truth in the name of loyalty or chemistry, not realizing that emotional attraction doesn't equal spiritual assignment. The enemy studies your type. He knows your weakness in relationships, whether it's your desire to be needed, your fear of being alone, or your habit of mistaking attention for affection. And he uses those patterns to design counterfeits that feel real, look anointed, and speak your language, all while pulling you away from the secret place where your discernment once thrived. One of the enemy's most shocking tactics is keeping you busy with the wrong people so you never build with the right ones. You think you're being loyal, but you're actually being delayed. You think you're saving someone, but they're silently sabotaging you. You think you're being patient with their process, but they're not growing. They're draining, and your purpose is being slowly bled out in the name of keeping peace with people God never told you to keep. Jesus loved everyone, but he didn't trust everyone. John 2:24 makes that clear. Some of you need to stop making covenant with people who only showed up to distract you in a season of loneliness. The enemy is strategic. He'll never send someone who looks dangerous. He'll send someone who looks like everything you've prayed for while hiding everything you should have rebuked. Relationships are not neutral. They either push you into purpose or pull you into passivity. That's why the enemy isn't just attacking your joy or your time. He's attacking your circle, your tribe, your intimacy, your confidence, because who you allow close to you determines what gets planted in you. Be warned, not every divine connection is convenient, and not every convenient connection is divine. Sometimes the person you're chasing is the very person God removed, and by going back, you're not honoring love, you're disobeying God. Every time you ignore that inner nudge, every time you excuse what the Spirit exposed, you're giving the enemy permission to dig his roots deeper into your life. Destiny requires discipline, and that includes being willing to walk away from anyone who threatens the voice of God in your life, no matter how much history you share. The sooner you discern the difference between a divine relationship and a demonic distraction, the sooner you'll walk in peace, clarity, and authority again. Stop praying for elevation while ignoring the people who keep tying you to the ground. If God is calling you higher, He's also calling you to inspect your circle. Who you're with determines where you're going. So choose wisely, move boldly, and don't be afraid to cut ties with what heaven never approved.